Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Cone back here again today with another video, and today we're doing another episode of NBA Hot Takes. This is my second time recording this because I finished and immediately deleted the video, so hopefully this one goes the same way the first one did, but you probably know the drill at this point. I go to Twitter, ask y'all for hot takes, pick out some of my favorites, and go ahead and talk about them in this video. I'm going to tell you whether I agree or disagree, give you my reasoning for why, and as always, I'd love to hear your opinions on these takes too. Go ahead and comment down below what your opinions are on these. Do you agree or disagree with me? And as always, drop me some of your hot takes of your own. And if you want to potentially be in one of these videos in the future, go ahead and follow me on Twitter because I always get my hot takes from these tweets I do usually the day of or a day before I make these recordings. So let's go ahead and get into it. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. Let's talk about some takes. First take comes from Young Orochi, big supporter of the channel. Shout out to you. They say that Darren Fox is an MVP candidate and his performance on a night-to-night basis is not being talked about enough. And in parentheses, Cone should make a video about it. You're completely right. I need to make a Kings video, and there is one coming soon, I promise. But let's talk about the take. Darren Fox, yes, he is an MVP candidate. And yeah, you're right. He's not being talked about enough. What he's done so far this season has been absolutely ridiculous. Because last year, he took the jump to an all-NBA caliber, very clearly an all-star guard, and won the NBA's inaugural Clutch Player of the Year award, just dominating. Every time the clock ticked over to the fourth quarter, Fox physically could not miss. He was the best player on a Kings team that got back to the playoffs and did so by securing home court advantage in a tough Western Conference. And this year he's doing all of that, but even better. He's again very clutch, this time putting up over 30 points per game, more efficient from the field and from three. His three-point shot has never looked this good. I never thought it would look this good. Watching him in his early going in his career, it always felt like he was going to be a bad three-point shooter, but he's pretty good at this point. His defense continues to get better, the playmaking. He is the engine of this Kings team that has continued to play some great basketball. He missed part of this beginning session of the season, and I think as time goes on, he and the Kings are only going to get better and better, more cohesive, and they could rise up the standings. And if again they finish as like a top 4-3 team in the West, I wouldn't be surprised if Darren Fox got both All-NBA and even MVP conversation noise. Right now, I'd probably put him in my top 10. I don't think I'd have him top 5 because it's really stacked up there at the top. But yeah, probably top 10 candidate. He's very deserving of more recognition. And like I said, the Kings video is coming at some point soon. Speaking of guards that have played for the Kings, next take comes from Hallie Muse, who says that Tyrese Haliburton is a top 2 guard in the NBA. First, let's talk about what Haliburton's been doing so far this season. He's been ridiculous, putting up 25 and 12 roughly, shooting 50, 40, 90, the engine for the league's best offense, a historically great offense, and he's got the Pacers on the verge of taking the jump that I was really hoping we'd see from them this season. I knew Haliburton was going to be good, didn't think he'd be this good this fast. He's been unbelievable, one of the best offensive players period in the league right now, doing some historic stuff at a very young age. But when we get to the top 2 guard in the league conversation, I don't think he's there quite yet. There are some guards that I feel pretty confident in saying I'd take over him at this point. Luka Doncic, Steph Curry, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Devin Booker, Anthony Edwards is an interesting conversation. John Morant, Darren Fox, like all those guys, I think are in conversations with Tyrese. If you want to slot him into that 5th spot, I think there's certainly an argument to do so with how great he's been for Indiana, how important he is to that team. You want to talk about some of the most valuable players in the league, Tyrese certainly has a case with what he does with the Pacers, and when he's away from the team, you can tell how much they miss him. I just don't think right now he's in that top 2 conversation. You give him a few more years, I think he could certainly be up there. He keeps playmaking like this, scoring efficiently, especially if his defense comes around. Tyrese could eventually become one of the more well-rounded guards in the entire association. I just think right now it's a little bit premature. The guard position is maybe more stacked than it's ever been, so I don't think he's top 2, but what he's doing so far has been ridiculous. Next take comes from Braxton, who says that this will wind up being a top 5 rookie class ever for producing defenders. Goes on to name guys like Victor Wembanyama, Sar Thompson, Anthony Black, Bilal Coulibaly, Kaysen Wallace, Derek Lively, Andre Jackson Jr., Jarris Walker, and Taylor Hendricks, and follows it up by saying even guys like Olivier Maxence Prosper, Ryan Rupert, and Sidi Sissoko could join the list too. And if you count Chet Holmgren, that's another massive bonus. Thank you, Braxton, for putting this out there because this is something that I have also been thinking about. This rookie class has been amazing so far, particularly on that defensive end. You've got guys locking up at the big man position, the guard position, the wing position. It doesn't matter. There's great defenders all over the place. It all starts with Victor Wembanyama, who's a generational defender. He's going to be a multiple-time depoy. He's already in all defensive conversations as a rookie. We're going to rack up 5x5s. He is a special talent. And then beyond him, like you said, if you count Chet as part of this rookie class, which he is, he also looks like a future depoy type guy. He's an all defensive type player already, elevating the Thunder from a middle of the pack defense last year to one of the best. best. Asar Thompson looks like he is going to be one of the future best wing defenders in the league if he's not already in those conversations. Anthony Black's had some great moments. Coulibaly, Cason Wallace, Derek Lively's anchoring. Like, all these guys that you've talked about have had these huge defensive flashes. It feels like I've never seen a rookie class that has been clamping the way that this one has. And it's only been 20 games. Like, this is the beginning of all their careers. A lot of these guys are super, super young and being tasked with guarding some of the best players on the planet on a night-to-night basis. There are a lot of people out there who talk about, oh, the NBA is all offense, now there's no defense. This rookie class has the chance to change a lot of people's opinions on that. And I think I might go even further. They could be better than a top 5 rookie class ever. This could go down as maybe the greatest defensive rookie class that we've ever seen if these guys progress the way that it seems like they can. Speaking of some rookies, now we've got a take from Colby, who says that Chet Holmgren has a higher ceiling than Victor Wembanyama. If you know me, Chet's my guy. I'm a Thunder fan. I picked him to win Rookie of the Year, been a supporter even before he entered the draft. He's been special. He's putting up roughly 50, 40, 90 splits. The free throw percentage is a bit below 90 at this point, but I'm going to go ahead and give it to him because I'm biased. But Chet's been, roughly 50, 40, 90, putting the ball on the deck, catch and shoot opportunities, doesn't matter. He's efficient from everywhere. He's way more fluid than I was expecting him to be in his movements, some crazy finishes around the rim, and then defensively, elevating the Thunder from a middle of the pack defense, like I said, to one of the best in the league. He's been a great rim protector, held his own on the perimeter, just transforms everything defensively when he's on the court. He is a special talent, and I think so far he's definitely been the Rookie of the Year and been the best rookie in the NBA. With all that being said, though, I still do lean Wemby as the guy with the higher ceiling. Again, I'm not saying that Chet is worse right now. I'm not saying that Chet could potentially become better than Vic when their careers reach their peaks. But if I'm going ceiling for ceiling, Vic has the higher one between the greater height, the greater length, which is just going to allow him to be a better defender down the line. Chet's going to be phenomenal. Again, think he could win some depoys, but when I take a look at Vic, I think he could win like 3, 4, 5 straight Defensive Player of the Years with the impact that he's going to have. The shot has been rough so far, but I think it's going to come along nicely. His ball handling is really, really good for a guy that size. And Vic's also playing in one of the worst situations in the NBA right now in San Antonio. Doesn't have a lot of guards to set him up, doesn't have a lot of spacing around him to let himself operate. I think when the situation gets better, Vic is going to be unstoppable. Both these guys are going to be battling for the title of best big in the league down the line. I just think with the physical tools, I'm going to lean Victor a little bit over Chet as the guy with the higher ceiling. Again, maybe Chet does become better, but being unbiased here, Wemby has the higher potential outcome. Now we've got a take from Ranch, who says that neither LA team, the Clippers or the Lakers, is going to the NBA playoffs. This is a take if you told me before the season, I would have said you were crazy, and it still feels like to me both these teams will make the playoffs. At the very least, one of them will, but there is an outcome where one or both of them don't. The Lakers right now are sitting at 11-8, 7th seed in the Western Conference, but they're only 2 games back of the 2-seeded Nuggets, 1 game back of the 4-seed Oklahoma City Thunder, who they actually play tonight as I'm recording this. I think the Lakers are going to make the playoffs. This is a team I thought was going to be one of the best teams in the West. They've dealt with a lot of injuries, not to their stars like LeBron and AD, but to key role players like Gabe Vincent, for example, Jared Vanderbilt, Rui Hachimura, among some others. The Lakers have been kind of beat up here and there, and I think if they can manage to get healthy, which is an if with this team, they're going to rise themselves up towards the top of the Western Conference standings. If LeBron and AD miss time, though, definitely a bigger concern in my opinion. And same thing goes for the Clippers. The James Harden experiment hasn't been going great. They've really struggled since they brought him into the fold. Did just get a huge blowout win last game as I'm recording this, so maybe that's a sign of things to come where they really start to put things together. And I do ultimately believe with the talent on this roster between Harden, between Kawhi, Russ, Paul George, I feel like they're going to put it together at the very least to make it to the playoffs. Maybe they go out in the first round and this thing goes up in flames in the offseason, but I think they will be in the playoffs themselves. So I do think both teams are going to be there, but if injuries pop up, if the Clippers can't find some cohesion, I could see a world where both of them miss. I think it's unlikely, but I guess it is possible. Speaking of takes that might have seemed crazy in the offseason, we've got one from Jorge, who says that the Timberwolves will make the NBA Finals this season. I've told this story a million times on the channel, but for those of you all that are new, last season going into the year, I picked the Timberwolves to be my 2nd seed in the Western Conference, and people laughed at me saying there's no way they're going to put this thing together, and they were kind of right. They definitely weren't the 2 seed. They made the playoffs through the play-in, but they gave the Nuggets a really tough series, and if you ask Bruce Brown about it, he answered a question on the podcast. He said the Timberwolves gave them the toughest series of their finals run. And coming into this year, they've built off that momentum in a big way, currently sitting at the 1 seed in the West with a record of 13-4. And a lot of that has been their defense, mainly headlined by Rudy Gobert, the guy that people have clowned the Timberwolves for trading for. He's been fantastic this season, again looking like the generational rim protector and all-around defender that he was back in Utah. Cat has been great. Anthony Edwards continues to rise to superstardom. Depth pieces has stepped up in a big way due to some injuries. Naz Reid is great off the bench. Jay McDaniels, when he's been in the lineup, has been good. Mike Conley's great as a facilitator. They're putting everything together, but the question is, are they ready to go ahead and go to the finals? If you ask me, I think they could be. I'm waiting to see a little bit more for this season before I officially declare them contenders, but they've looked a part of it so far. They've got a rising superstar player in Ant, a great defense. The offense is inconsistent, but I think as guys stay healthy, that will get a bit better. But I wouldn't pick them to make the finals right now. If I'm picking my favorite, it's still the Denver Nuggets, and I still do have the Phoenix Suns over the Wolves at this point. We haven't seen them fully healthy with Book, Beal, and Durant quite yet, but I think once those guys all start playing, this Suns team is going to be terrifying. Just give them some time. Also, the Nuggets are one game behind the Timberwolves right now, and they didn't have Jamal Murray for like a whole month. Jokic is the best player in the world, so I lean those two teams over the Wolves at the moment, but I think the Wolves are right up there in the conversation with those top contenders if the playoffs started today. They've been fantastic. I could see a world where they make it. I'm just not ready to say that they're going to make the finals. I need to see a little bit more before I make any claims like that. Next take comes from Kane, who says that Bam Adebayo is the best player on the Miami Heat so far this year. I don't have a lot to say about this one because if you ask me, I think it's just objectively true. Jimmy's great, and when they get to the playoffs, he's their guy, but so far, Bam has been their best and the most important player to this Miami Heat team. For years, I've been hoping Bam was going to take an offensive jump, be more aggressive, and so far he's doing exactly that. Putting up a career high right around 23 points per game, shooting over 50% from the field, while also anchoring the defense at a high level. The Heat have been one of the league's best defenses, and a lot of that is Bam Adebayo. There's some other great defenders, but he's the anchor of it, one of the most versatile defenders in the world, and he has a case for Depoy. I still lean Gobert, he's my current pick, but I think Bam is probably top 3 for me so far this season. He has been incredible, easily the best version of Bam that we've seen so far. And that's led to this Heat team being way better than I was expecting through the early going. I was someone who was not a believer in this Heat team. I mean, they're the 7th seed right now, but with how close things are in the Eastern Conference, only a couple games back of the 4-seeded 76ers, and I think if they get guys healthy like they've been missing Tyler Hero for a majority of the season, this team could go on a roll and manage to snag maybe home court advantage in the first round of the playoffs, which I didn't see being the case. A lot of that has been Bam Adebayo, and I think right now if I had to make All-NBA teams, Bam Adebayo probably ends up on that list. That's how good he's been so far. Final take we have is coming from Baytula. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. They say that Alperen Şengün is the best player from his draft class. As a refresher, Şengün comes out of the 2021 draft, which includes guys like Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, Evan Mobley, Scotty Barnes, Jalen Suggs, Franz Wagner, of course, Alperen Şengün, Trey Murphy III, Jalen Johnson, and Cam Thomas, just to name some of the highlight guys. There's also some pretty good role players surrounding them, but those are the main guys who have stood out so far this season. And it's a lot of great talent out there. Şengün, I think if I had to pick right now, has probably been the best. He's been the best player on a Rockets team that's exceeded my expectations, currently sitting at 500, which, isn't one of the best records in the league, but for a Rockets team that's been one of the worst in the league consistently the past 2 seasons, that's a big jump, and a lot of that has been Şengün. He's been their best player. He's playmaking at a high level, scoring at a high level, just destroying guys in the post. He's playmaking. His jumpers come along more, hitting that little one-legged jumper from the mid-range a lot more often. His rebounding, and he's even held his own defensively, being the anchor of a Rockets defense that's been pretty good so far. He's not like this elite rim protector, but he does enough to go ahead and get the job done, which is way more than I could say from these past few seasons. He has taken a big jump and is probably even in all-star conversations in the early going of the year. So I probably would lean him as the best player from this class at the moment, not talking about long-term because that's a whole nother conversation, but there are some guys who are competing with him. You talk about Evan Mobley, who last season was a top 3 Depoy guy. I think, again, he's in those conversations, and his offense has been hit or miss, but so far, he's been pretty good on that end as of late. You've got Scotty Barnes, who has maybe been the best player in the Raptors so far this season, locking down defensively. Playmaking has been a huge bonus, scoring way more efficiently than he has at any point in his career. He also has an all-star case out there in the Eastern Conference at the moment. You've got Franz Wagner, who's averaging over 20 points per game for the 2-seeded Orlando Magic while playing great defense. He's been one of their best players. He also, I think, has a bit of an all-star case right now. Like, there's so much great talent out here in this draft class. You talk about Cam Thomas, who was averaging 27 points per game before his injury. Jalen Johnson, who was breaking out before he just got hurt. Trey Murphy III hasn't played yet this season, but is about to return, and I think he's got star potential written all over him. Cade Cunningham, I think, would be in this conversation too if the Pistons weren't just so terribly constructed around him and his play style. But yeah, there's just a lot of great talents in this draft class. I think Şengün probably has been the best out of anybody so far, but it's not a clear-cut decision because of how much talent has excelled from the 2021 class so far this season. Going forward to the future, I've got no idea who's going to be the best, but whoever it is, they're going to have to be really good because this draft class is stacked with top-end talent. But anyways, those are my thoughts on the hot takes for this video. As always, would love to hear your opinions down below in the comments, whether it's about the takes, giving me an original hot take of your own, or just critiquing my personal opinions. Love to discuss hoops with y'all down below in the comment section. Also, like I said earlier, as always, please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Helps the channel out way more than y'all realize, and also hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos, including hopefully an upload every single day of December. I've got a goal to upload every day in the month of December. Don't want to miss a single one, so be on the lookout for that. There's going to be hoop cone content coming every single day, so keep your eyes peeled. Really excited. Y'all have showed so much support for the channel over the course of this first month or so of the season. It's been unbelievable. I really appreciate that, and great things are coming for the rest of the year and into 2024. But for right now, appreciate y'all watching. I'll see y'all later. Real one, say it back.